事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。好事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。好事会被看见，台北金标微电影展征件开始。 好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。做好事会被看见。台北金雕微电影展征件开始。
Hi everyone, and welcome to this GCSF 2020 webinar, which today focuses on innovation. My name is Martin Söderberg, and I work for TCO Development, which is the organization behind TCO Certified, the global sustainability certification for IT products. And I've been invited here to be the moderator for the Q&A session, and also to present the presenters, if you will. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker for today, which is Jacqueline Lai of the Cannes Lions. So Jacqueline Lai will let us know more about the organization called Cannes Lions. And please welcome Ms. Jacqueline Lai.
今天非常荣幸能够来跟大家分享坎城创意节的一些 SDGs 永续发展目标的创意作品。我们就先从今年我非常喜欢的一个作品开始。
Although I have cerebral palsy, I do everything I can to conduct myself like everyone else. But in my own home, I'm surrounded with furniture crying out, "Cripple." I'd like to sit on a regular sofa, without being afraid I won't be able to get up.
IKEA's vision is to create a better everyday life for the many. Disabled give simple and affordable home furnishings for 10% of the population.
Every child, every person is different depending on their needs.
Disability drives innovation.
Even in some of our public libraries, there's 3D printers.
A lot of the solutions, they've been very medicalized down through the years, and nothing as cool as anything you've produced.
ועכשיו אנחנו רוצים להראות לכם יוזמה מיוחדת של רשת איקאה שנקראת Disabled.
יוזמה חשובה שתקל על אנשים עם מוגבלויות איקאה, עם ארגון נגישות.
这就行的这个案子是来自以色列，大家刚刚在个案影片中会看到这位叫做 Elder 的这个，他是一位创意人，而且他其实是在广告公司工作。那我现在来念一下，我们出版的这个坎城创意奖结案报告里面，就是跟他有关的故事。这个故事的开始是在2016年的11月，当时患有脑性麻痹的这个撰文，他叫 Elder Yusupov。他来到以色列台拉维夫的 McCann 办公室，准备面对另一个一整天的 idea 发想日。他当时是一个 freelancer， 就是每周到 McCann 上班2次。他对自己的脸书说：“我是个文案，也是个会尽一切能力证明自己不是因为残障所以做不到的跛子。”那一天，他收到的是 IKEA 的 brief， 就是公司让他想一下 IKEA 怎样可以在公益的议题上发展。那他提出了一些想法，其中一个是让 IKEA 的家具无障碍，让所有残障的人也能使用 IKEA 的家具。他说，当时我没有想要去坎城，也没有想要得狮子，只是想证明自己的工作能力，也像让我这样的人能使用 IKEA 的产品。像我这样的人，如果能到内谭雅的 IKEA 去帮自己买些无障碍家居用品，真的会很酷。我没想到这创意会扩展到全世界。当时呢，艾达把他的创意告诉了同事，这个同事对这个创意非常欣赏，然后他们就把这创意给忘了。但是他没有放弃，1年之后，他又重新提这个自己觉得很重要的创意想法。那也终于去让公司和同事开始推动这个计划。他跟他的太太蒂娜一起到内谭雅的 IKEA 去。然后他们2个人一起去思考，怎么样让有障碍的人可以使用某些家具。那他的公司也和几个残障者的组织合作进行开发。这个创意过程并不简单，因为不可能让 IKEA 总部改变他们的家具，但是他们想到可以借由3D 列印附件，比如说帮沙发装上脚垫，变高之后障碍者就比较容易站起来，让原本开关只是一粒小豆般大的台灯，它套上一个圆片，一敲就能够开灯或关灯。还有在橱柜的门把上装上辅助把手，让脑麻者卷曲的手也能容易开关柜门等。以色列 IKEA 终于决定要进行这个个案，预计在2018年春推出。但某件事发生了，个案取消了。当时他只想要自杀，他没有开玩笑，他说我想死。我发想了整个个案一下就破碎掉了，但他没有自杀，也没有放弃。他写了一封信给 IKEA 的执行长，要求他继续这个计划，不是以一个广告人的身份，而是一个残障者的身份。希望有这样的家具提供给这个人以及像他一样的人。这封信说服了 IKEA，1年之内这个 idea 就是你们刚刚看到的这个个案，这就行了，终于完成并且推出了。艾达他也有来到坎城创意节，当时我就坐在他的后面，偷偷拍了很多他的照片。我来介绍一下我们坎城创意节。坎城创意节它基本上我们其实就有点像创意产业的第三方的一个标准制定组织。那我们透过创意奖，透过研讨会，透过很多就是跟社群有关的活动，比如说我们还有一个为了创意的女力所进行的叫女生创意有为者亦若是的一个这样的活动。那这样的活动只是我们所有推动全球创意社群一起向善的一个活动之一。那坎城创意节我们等一下会仔细的讲，就是其实我们把大家应该都记不住的17项永续发展目标分为5个 P。好，大家现在看一下这张图片，是哪5 P 呢？ People, Planet, Prosperity, Peace 跟 Partnership， 这样就非常好记。我们等一下会再举一些例子。那这个是坎城创意节的舞台，就是一个其实就是跟坎城影展同一个大会堂。那这是一个我们最大厅，就是可以容纳2800人的大厅。那我们其实每年坎城创意节期间呢，我们会有4-5万人来到现场，其中1万人会就是进去在里面发表演讲、领取讲座，然后跟大家进行像评审啊、讨论啊这样的这些活动。我想要花点时间介绍就是坎城整个善创意的脉络。那我们先从2016年的这个狮心奖，叫 Lion Heart 的这个奖来开始。这是颁奖典礼的舞台上，那当时颁给谁呢？狮心奖是一个荣誉奖，就是当年颁发给这个人。这个人呢，他在2015年的时候，其实他来过台湾，大家认得出吗？好，我们继续呢提供一些暗示。他叫 Black Mikowski， 想到了吗？好的，这是他的近照。那这是他在坎城的大舞台上接受就是来自媒体的特别专访。到这里应该很清楚了，他其实就是 Counsel 的创办人 Black Mikowski。坎城创意奖的狮心奖呢，是透过颁发给透过商业品牌力量的创新运用，为地球上的人类创造显著正面差异的个人。那我讲一下我们坎城创意节的我们的就是信念，对最创意想法与创意人的追寻是坎城创意节所做一切的核心。因为我们相信创意推动生意，创造向善改变，创意解决方案更有效，创意公司更成功，创意沟通能对世界创造正面影响。那在2017年度狮心奖的受奖人是 Richard Curtis。我这有一个很复杂的就是说明，就是简介他。可是其实大家可以看到，上面最重要就是他其实是一个 SDGs 的一个倡导者。那在2018年度，我们的受奖人狮心奖的受奖人是 Paul Pullman， 他是 Unilever 的前执行长，他对就是 SDGs 的就是努力奉献，还有他在这里他说他花了10年的时间 把公司打造成为一个关心、在意环保以及社会责任的企业。那它也就是联合国非常重要的一个SDGs 的大使。在2019年度呢，也就是去年获得这个奖的是联合国副秘书长兼联合国妇女署总监。这是联合国的自己的就是 UN Women 上面的新闻稿。那其实潘基文在2016年的时候，他有来坎城创意节。那我这边截录2段他当时的演说。
This is a gun, so I have come with a pitch. I know all of you have tremendous power to shape opinions. You are master storytellers. And I want you to help us to create the biggest campaign ever for humanity. What do I mean? Here are 3 reasons why. The first, none of the SDGs can be achieved by anyone else or any government, any organization. However one nation may be powerful and resourceful, however one may be very talented, nobody, no country can do it alone. That means we need business community, we need civil society, we need academia, we need the private sector, we need everyone, including yourselves. And everyone has a stake in its success. It means everyone's hand must be on deck.
这场研讨会其实它最重要的就是这一页，全球6个最大的船舶集团，他们为所有几乎你所知道的各大品牌服务，那他们都承诺就是要为 SDGs 而努力，这是非常重要的，因为其实私部门所谓的 private sector， 它拥有世界上非常多的资源，甚至大家知道有些企业富可敌国。那如果所有的私部门一起携手，对于达到 SDGs， 那会是一个非常重要的助力。那在次年呢，联合国的副秘书长也来到了坎城创意节。我把这张影片中他所说的话跟大家重复。他说，联合国不太会沟通，所以走出他们自己那群人的泡泡，来学会对所有人沟通非常重要，因为 SDGs 需要所有人一起。在2017年的时候呢，就是我们当时的董事长来到了联合国，在2017年联合国大会开议期间，有一场创意帮助达成永续发展目标的讨论会。那当时的坎城创意节董事长 Söderberg 正式在这个讨论会中说明，坎城创意节在2018年会设立 SDGs 创意奖，而这个奖的全部报名费收入将投入 SDGs 之用。我们就来看一下2018年的 SDGs 创意奖年度大奖的得奖作品。
Now, if you're heading to the Pacific island of Palau, you'll be signing up to a new pledge.
Human impact on Earth's environment is one of the biggest challenges facing the world today. The small island nation of Palau was feeling these impacts acutely. Tourists were damaging reefs, littering oceans and poaching protected species. But how could a small local population with limited resources police the high volume of visitors? What if we made the tourists police themselves? Introducing the Palau Pledge, a first-of-its-kind immigration policy for good. All visitors now need to sign an environmental pledge to gain admittance into Palau. Stamped into the passport of international arrivals, the pledge is a formal promise to Palau's children.
Children of Palau,
I take this pledge
to preserve and protect your beautiful and unique island home.
To implement this policy, government, the tourist industry and citizens were brought together. A new visa entry stamp was designed and issued in multiple languages. And immigration laws were permanently changed.
The jolt that comes with the pledge is the recognition that, hey, I can make a difference.
But we didn't stop at the passport stamp. We redesigned the tourism experience via a website, an in-flight film, a passport insert, local education, business accreditation, signage, penalties and collateral. Launched at the UN, the Palau Pledge has been praised by international leaders and groups. Influencers helped inspire people to take the pledge online in solidarity with Palau.
Are you already seeing tourists behaving differently?
The awareness level is very high.
Leonardo DiCaprio's been quick to endorse the pledge.
The reaction on social media has been widespread.
The Palau Pledge has raised global awareness of the responsibility this generation has to the next. But its biggest impact is local, in Palau.
I hope my children can see the beautiful place as I see today.
帛琉誓词这个个案呢，它事实上是经过帛琉的国会通过，总统颁布施行。大家看一下这张照片，这是我们的总统蔡英文访问帛琉的时候，他也必须签署帛琉誓词，就是他签署誓词当时呢的一个就是现场的照片，还有他的签名。在2019年初，坎城创意节将2018年 SDGs 创意奖报名费收入大概是台币1100多万元捐给帛琉誓词背后的团队，也就是帛琉遗绪计划。在2019年，帛琉誓词背后团队帛琉遗绪计划的2位代表，他们一共是4个女生，把这个案子做出来。他们应坎城创意节，就是我们与 PwC 合作的我们的这个 CSR 影响力奖之邀来到台北。在舞台上，他们说，他们其实目前所有的营运资金就是来自坎城国际创意节 SDGs 创意奖的这笔奖金，所以这是一个非常重要的，就是选择对世界具有重大影响力的这些个案，然后希望借由这个奖项，然后能够增加扩大他们的影响力。我在这边说明一下，就是坎城创意节很重要的概念叫做社会创新。这个概念其实是来自Getting Beyond Better 这本书，那它是Eubank的当时就是总经理，创办时候总经理，他成立了一个专门扶持社会企业的组织所提出的。也就是说，当我们在进行这些希望对社会产生正面影响力的个案时，我们希望辨认出我们想要改变的旧常态。这个旧常态，如果我们不进行任何创意干预，它会持续。那我们做了某些事情之后，我们希望能够创造出新常态。那这就是社会创新很重要的概念。社会创新还有一个很重要的阶段性思考，首先必须了解问题，想象解决方案，打造解决方案。最后一个阶段呢是规模化，不见得是你组织本身的规模化，但是是你影响力的规模化。接下来我比较仔细的说明坎城创意节的 SDGs 创意奖的5P， 刚刚已经说过了，就是有人道关怀、环境、繁荣和平衡、伙伴关系这5P。如果我也把它整理成一张图片，那大家可以就是仔细的收看。我们接下来呢走一下这个每一个 P 的它所包含的 SDGs 项目，比如说人道关怀就包括 SDGs 的1到5 ，Planet 就是6、7，然后11到15 ，Prosperity 是8、9、10，和平呢是16，Partnership 呢是17。那我们接下来就介绍一下我精选的这些个案。在人道关怀这里呢，我选的是无家可归者的地址。大家如果看到这里路上很大的 A01呢，这就是 SDGs 创意奖，它在 A 类，比如说 People 里面，它其实又分了就是几个不同的竞赛项目，也是根据这个永续发展目标的细项。好，那我们现在一起来看这个无家可归者的地址是来自爱尔兰的个案。
It's one of the richest countries in the world, yet Ireland has what campaigners are calling a homelessness crisis.
Ireland is also struggling with affordable housing, especially
the homelessness crisis deepens, with almost 10,000 people now living in emergency accommodation.
And almost 3,000 of those people are children.
10 years on from the financial crisis, and Ireland still suffers from a homeless problem. Losing your home means losing your address, access to essential services, and basic human rights like voting.
How are you going to get a job if you haven't got an address? How are you going to get an address if you haven't got a job? How are you going to get a rent allowance if you don't have a job and you don't have an address? So it's a crazy catch-22 situation.
We created Address Point, the first fixed address service for those without a fixed home.
An Post has launched the first fixed address service for the homeless and those living in temporary accommodation.
As Ireland's National Postal Service, we used our network to create new addresses across the country. Each unique address looks, reads and appears like any other address, and can be used in the real world, even though created digitally. This means homeless people can now access essential services like every other citizen. Each address also connects to a post office, so post can be collected when and where suits best. we partnered with every major Irish homeless charity to reach those who needed it most.
It will actually make a big difference in terms of their ability to survive while homeless and also their ability to get out of homelessness. So in that sense, it gives people an anchor.
To be able to connect or reconnect back with your community, your society, your family. It's really the services like reliable healthcare, being able to apply for a job. I'm in a position now where I can vote in the upcoming elections.
Because of its impact in Ireland, we're now in talks with other international postal services to bring Address Point worldwide.
我们一般在解决贫穷问题的时候呢，我们常常想到的是，比如说是在马斯洛的需求层次上面比较低等的需求，比如说我们要让他吃饱。但是呢，我们看到这个案子，它照顾到比较高层次的需求，而且它解决比较具体跟实际的问题，并且呢，他们一开始就考虑到规模化，他们希望这个可以再透过全世界的邮局，就是去扩展。在 B Planet 呢？这个项目呢，我选的是行动经济黑卡，这是在2019年坎城创意节，它不但获得 SDGs 创意奖，事实上它获得的是电子商务创意奖的年度大奖。大家一起来看一下这个个案。
In 2018, the United Nations released an urgent report emphasizing the need to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030 in order to avoid an irreversible climate crisis. The average consumer in Sweden causes around 10 tons of carbon emissions each year, of which 60% is linked to consumption. Later in 2018, Doconomy, a Swedish fintech, took on the challenge and launched Do. The Do app is connected to a credit card that enables users to track and measure their carbon footprint from each purchase and to compensate for its impact day by day. This spring, Doconomy took its fight against climate change one step further by adding a premium credit card to its offer. But instead of introducing a premium credit card with the typical benefits that encourages further mass consumption, Doconomy did the opposite by launching Do Black, the world's first credit card with a carbon limit. Simply put, it's the first credit card ever to stop you from overspending. Not based on your available funds, but rather on the levels of CO2 emissions caused by your consumption. Do Black helps you track your climate impact and ensures that you reduce it by 50% in line with the UN 2030 recommendation.
The core purpose of Do Black is not only the ability to measure the impact of your consumption, but also bringing it to a direct halt, making it a radical tool against climate change.
For years, credit cards have put a limit on our credit. Do Black puts a limit on our impact.
行动经济黑卡其实是奥兰指数的延伸，那我们也顺便来看一下奥兰指数的个案。
Have you ever thought about the true cost of your last purchase? The price you actually paid is only the tip of an iceberg. The real impact of our spending behavior has yet to be calculated until now.
As a bank, we analyze large amounts of financial data to identify risks. And as a company based on an island in one of the world's most polluted seas, the problem is alarming. That's why we launched the Baltic Sea Project and the Åland Index, to provide funding, understanding, and to engage all clients as agents for change.
By combining financial risk analysis data, merchant category codes, and carbon pricing set by the World Bank, the index calculates the environmental impact of every transaction. The bank presents a monthly impact report of your credit card purchases and the opportunity to compensate for the true cost of your consumption. The initiative was launched to position the bank using PR, digital, direct and social media channels to activate and engage both clients, a public and the competition. But the most effective medium is the credit card, biosourced, that serves as a daily reminder of the need for change. With this initiative, the bank has turned all client tools for consumption into an instrument for nature. Within the last year, the bank has been invited multiple times to the United Nations conferences on climate change, generated €380,000 in funding, reached 350 million people, and increased brand awareness by 308%. In the first quarter, we've computed over 2.5 million transactions. But true change is created together, and the index is offered as an open innovation to all other banks and their clients. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
奥兰指数跟行动经济黑卡，它们的差异在什么地方呢？奥兰指数让使用者在收到自己的银行月结单的时候，信用卡月结单的时候，看到自己所造成的影响，因此有了一个后悔的机会。可是行动经济黑卡则在消费冲动发生的当下，就以预设的碳额度来计算你还剩下多少碳额度，而不是你的银行还剩下多少钱。如果你的碳额度已经超过你当初就是答应要承诺的这个预设的话，你的信用卡当场就会被锁住了。这是一个在行动的当下立即改变行为的一个个案。那其实创作行动经济黑卡的这2位创作者，我们也曾经邀请他们前来台湾。那我感觉非常骄傲，就是我们其实今年在11月11号，也就是算是全世界最大消费日当天，我们也邀请他们，就是跟我们再次进行线上的对话。接下来呢，在 Prosperity 就是 C 类，我选的这个也是我们邀请过来台湾跟我们分享过的一个个案。我们先看这个个案。
Big issue, get your big issue here.
Yeah, it's 250.
Good morning, big issue.
Over the last 27 years, we've sold over 200 million copies of the magazine.
I'd become a big issue seller because I was homeless, and I don't like to beg.
We're living in an increasingly digital world. Printed publications are falling out of favour. People are carrying less cash, so we knew that we had to adapt.
So the way Pay It Forward works is once you've bought your copy of the magazine from a big issue seller, give it a read and then sell it on to someone, then they can sell it on and on and on. Every sale goes directly back into the pockets of that original seller. And the way they do it, you scan the QR code, click pay, the transaction is done. The great thing here is that hasn't resulted in one sale, that's resulted in 2, 3, 4, 5, however many sales.
It allows us to tap into our customer base, who we know are really loyal supporters of the individual vendors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Our vendors are given magazines with a sticker with their picture on it, so you know exactly who your money's going to.
Thanks, have a good day. All because of the Pay It Forward model, the UK's fastest growing bank has changed the way it did business. To get a bank account, you need a fixed address. But we really believed in this initiative, so we came up with a simple solution of letting vendors use the big issue offices as their address.
We sell 3 to 4 million magazines every year. If each of those magazines could be sold on just once, we would radically alter the fortunes of our vendors.
I'm saving that money up to go up north to see my daughter. I can't wait. I ain't seen her since November. So, and her birthday's coming up as well, so I'm going to have to treat her.
刚刚我们在这个个案里面，我们有看到一位街友他在销售大志杂志。由于这个案子所造成的影响，其中呢，就是最主要是因为他可以拿着他的杂志，然后他跟就是经过的路人解说，他因此也获得他所需要的社会互动。那其中的一个这样的一个社会互动，让他跟英国的一个很有名的 DJ 连接上关系。那在这个 DJ 他就是2019年4月2号的发文中，他告诉大家，就是因为 Aaron 他 由于跟这个 DJ 常常互动，常常被他在节目中提及，那他也变成小有名气。于是他现在已经被就是英国很有名的三明治公司 Manger 就是雇佣了，他即将离开街头，就像他在影片中所说的一样。那我们也曾邀请这个案子的创作者来台北，这就是艾萨克。艾萨克他跟之前的柏流士慈一样，他们都是就是因为自己的经验。然后呢，比如说艾萨克他想要买大志杂志，却发现自己身上没有钱，因为现在大家都是在用这种就是像手机转账啊这样，他就在想说我在数位银行工作，为什么我的就是数位银行不能解决这个问题呢？于是他就创造了把爱传出去的这个个案。那像 Laura 跟 Jennifer 就是柏流士慈的这个团队。那是因为 Laura 她本来她是英国人跟澳洲人，然后就是因为她跟先生去柏流接受一个由柏流政府跟澳洲政府一起提供的一个海洋方面的工作。那她在海滩上常常看到游客进行一些非常夸张的行为，甚至包括把海龟的壳给揭开这样子，对，听起来真的很可怕。于是 Laura 她一刚开始的时候是常常在海滩上对着游客尖叫，最后她的先生跟她说：“你不能这样子，你会被警察抓去。如果你继续再跟游客尖叫的话，你做点事情。”于是他就做了大家刚刚看到的柏流誓词，甚至就是总统颁发的经过国会改革的整个入境的就是规则的限制。因此呢，很重要的一点是，其实每个人都可以对创意有所贡献。你可以从自己的起心动念开始，想想看你想要改变什么样的旧常态，想办法去创造你想要看到的新常态。你要变成这个改变。我们接下来看的就是第一项是和平，我们选的是人道金属。人道金属很巧的呢，也是行动经济黑卡的创作者之一，他所创造出来的。
Uranium is a new metal made from destructed illegal firearms. With hundreds of millions of illegal firearms spread across the world, armed violence is a global epidemic. It is estimated that one person is shot and killed every minute. Sadly, already suffering developing countries are the most affected, with a devastating mix of violence and poverty. Governments and local authorities are struggling with seizing and destroying illegal firearms because weapon destruction programs are often poorly funded and politically not prioritized. The Uranium Metal Initiative is the world's first supply chain of metal made from destructed illegal firearms, supported by local governments and authorities, and a production process that meet industrial standards and comply with fair trade policies. The estimated yearly output is 50 metric tons of uranium metal. Production has been initiated in Guatemala and El Salvador, with negotiations underway in additional Latin American countries. In short, IM uses the manufacturing and sales of uranium metal to fight the spread of illegal firearms. This, in effect, creates new funds to help rebuild conflict-torn societies, as well as offer support to victims of armed violence. The Uranium Metal Initiative has been covered and praised by international news media and received important support from some of the most renowned international experts on disarmament and armed violence. In 2017, IAM will present the first selection of companies from a wide range of industries and markets that will use uranium metal in their production. There's no gimmick here, no glossy packaging, no marvelous budgets to get our message across. Just a new metal, uranium, made from illegal firearms to fight violence and poverty. Thanks for watching.
这个案子最重要的一点是，它透过公司本来就需要进行的原料采购，来创造正面影响力。在我前往伦敦参加欧洲创意节的时候，曾经听到这个案子的就是所谓客户方，也就是 IM 这个合作社组织来简报这个个案的影响。他说，通常公益组织每年要花非常大的力量在募款。我想如果有人就是听到我现在说这句话，而你是公益组织，你一定非常理解这样的痛苦。你多少力量都要花在募款上。但是呢，由于他们找到了这个就是能够透过供应链销售来自就是这些废弃军火所创造的所谓的人道金属，然后把人道金属变成一个企业愿意去采购。为什么呢？因为其实 高纯度的不锈钢是非常便宜的，因此当人造金属这样子的，就是坦白说，在品质上并不像高纯度的不锈钢那么好的一个金属，它为什么公司要做这样的采购呢？当然就是因为理念的认同。那 IM 说，以前他们可能一整年花很多的力气，他们只获得比如说500万欧元的一个就是营运的收入，但是当他们销售掉一批人造金属，比如说给表的公司、给自行车的公司去生产各种各样的商品时，他们其实就可以获得他们一年辛辛苦苦去募款所能够获得的进账，这样子让他们能够就是所谓 proactive 主动的去企划他们想要做的事情，而不是只能收到多少钱才能做多少事，这样所谓 reactive 比较反应性的去，可能就是无法达到他们比较前瞻性的就是一些目的。我刚刚说过，我们曾经在2017年就是请他来参加就是台湾创意周以及 PSR 的影响力奖。那他这个案子它就是针对SDGs 第16项目标，也就是我们刚刚所说的 Peace。接下来最后的，我们当然就是看最后一个项目叫伙伴关系，这是一个很有趣的案子。我们大家先看它的个案影片。
Animals are a fundamental part of our world, our culture, our society, and our language, even our filmmaking and marketing. In fact, images of animals appear in approximately 20% of all advertisements that we see. Yet, despite this, animals do not always receive the support that they deserve, until now. Introducing the Lion's Share, an initiative that encourages brands and organizations using images of animals in their marketing to donate 0.5% of their media spend to the Lion's Share Trust. Backed by the United Nations Development Programme, the money will then be dispersed across the world to save species from extinction, preserve wildlife habitats, and look after animal welfare.
Called Lion's Share.
Very simple, brilliant idea.
I think that if we all do this together, then we can have this positive impact.
Amazing.
In 2015, the world adopted a new global development agenda with an ambitious set of 17 sustainable development goals. Now, through the Lion's Share, advertisers have a real opportunity to act and deliver on these sustainable development goals by making a small change in the way they recognize animals in their advertisements.
这件作品也是2019年，也就是第2届 SDGs 创意奖年度大奖的得奖作品。大家都喜欢看到可爱的动物、勇猛的动物出现在广告中，但是我们为这些动物做了什么？这个案子是在所谓的 partnership 这个项目得奖，因为它创造出一个非常有效，而且一定会长期持续，因为所有的品牌都在做广告，而且20%的广告里面都有动物出现。甚至你所知道的很多品牌，它的名称都是动物。因此呢，当他们在进行广告时，只要他将媒体的预算的0.5%捐赠给这个组织，这个组织就能够 proactive 的持续有稳定的收入，进行刚刚大家所看到各项创新的动物保育计划。以上呢，我们介绍了SDGs 创意奖在5个 P 方面各自的代表作。我们在过去的几年一直都非常幸运，能和资诚 CSR 就是一起创造 CSR 的这个 Impact Awards。那因此我们也能够请到这么多创意者，这么多优秀个案的创作者来到台湾。那今年我们刚刚提到，在11月11号，也就是世界上最大的单身节疯狂消费日当天，我们会有一个活动，那我们请到 行动经济黑卡的创作者，还有人造金属这2个个案的创作者，来跟我们分享他们最新的个案。台湾创意周是坎城国际创意节在台湾的官方活动，我们今年的活动是在2020年12月18到20号，那暂定是在台北国际艺术村。暂定是因为我们还没上公文，也没获得批准，但是时间已经定下来了。希望大家能够在当时就是来到现场，看更多我们精彩的 SDGs 创意奖得奖作品。希望大家一起跟我们和坎城国际创意节一起善用创意。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Jacqueline Lai of the Cannes Lions. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Donald Eubank. Donald is the principal and co-founder of Read the Air. He has a 25-year-long experience from working in Asia with IT, media, and finance industries. He is also the co-author of a book recently released called Leading Sustainability: The Path to Sustainable Business and How the SDGs Changed Everything. So he'll be talking to us about corporate investing and the SDGs, taking us through a case study of the AXA Group and their Impact Investment Initiative. So let's welcome Mr. Donald Eubank.
Hello, my name is Donald Eubank, and I am the founder and principal at Read the Air, a specialty advisory service based in Tokyo that helps businesses put sustainability at the core of their strategies. I'm very pleased to be here today at the Global Corporate Sustainability Forum in Taipei, and I'll be speaking on an innovation in corporate investing and the SDGs today, and specifically the rise of corporate impact investing and an innovative approach to core investing activities at AXA Group as a case study. So our agenda will be looking at sustainable business as we understand it, business in investment activities, AXA and impact investing, and we have a couple takeaways. So the basis of our thinking is a book that my co-founder, Trista Bridges, and I co-authored called Leading Sustainably: The Path to Sustainable Business and How the SDGs Changed Everything. And this book is based on about 1.5 years of interviews with 100 different businesses, investors, policymakers, NGOs, academics, and other change makers in the sustainability space. And we set out to test a thesis that the SDGs were pushing companies to accelerate their sustainability transformation into new business models. And what we found, of course, was a much more complex story where the business was at a real crossroads, as the age of the stakeholder was rapidly superseding that of the shareholder because of a lot of complex issues that we're confronting from politics, from climate change, and from other issues. We identified 5 steps that businesses go through in their business transformation to adopt more sustainable business models. They have to establish a base level understanding. They need to have C-level engagement and start to make some initial choices. They have to take first actions around those choices and see some first wins. And then they have to get cross-organization priority setting established and buy-in across the organization, which will lead to an alignment and process integration of sustainability into all the functions, the roles, and the departments of the business. But the reality is that today, most companies are probably at step 2 or step 3. There are a few that we've reached 4, which we profile in the book. There were some that started aligned from the beginning, what we call mission-driven companies. There are very few, though, I would say, that are established businesses and have reached step 5. So what does a sustainable business look like? DSM is one of our favorite examples because we think it has end-to-end sustainability across its operations. It's one of the world's largest food ingredient supplier and vitamin producer. with 9.27 billion sales in 2018 and 21,000 employees across 50 different countries. And their journey started when the CEO attended a World Food Program event and realized that he had to shift the business a completely different direction. And he sent out messages to all the department heads, told them what they were going to do, and asked them to spread the message on down. He got cross-organization support in this, and they decided to assess themselves across all 17 SDGs because they figured that whether or not they were operating in a specific space, they probably had an impact around each of the SDGs. Now all business lines have to contribute to their internal KPIs to achieve their goals around the SDGs and sustainability, and those that aren't are spun out. They work well with NGOs, with collaborations. They've set KPIs for managers and departments, and they've integrated sustainability into functional roles. But I think that there's something that's missing here. And that's not to say anything about DSM, but in the conversations around business and sustainability, one thing that we haven't seen anyone really looking at is what corporates do with their own investing practices. And we see this into three different kinds of investing. One is philanthropic. So we're talking about private corporate foundations, public charities, direct giving, and some CSR programs. We could talk about internal investing programs, whether that's corporate venture capital, or that's using companies' equity to make investments. And again, some CSR and sustainability programs, which we see particularly here in Japan, that are now expected as departments to make their own investments. And then there's businesses like banks and insurances that have their own core investing activities as part of their normal business, even though they're not really a fund or an asset manager. So what are these kinds of companies starting to do with their investing practices? Well, there's a number of new approaches coming out, and a lot of them are around impact investing. We see it on the rise now. A couple examples here. H&M, not only is their founding family dedicating $100 million to an impact fund, the company itself makes investments in small businesses and startups that can actually help it to improve its issues around waste management and recycling, such as HK Rita, which is an institute in Hong Kong that researches recycling around polymers and other textile materials. Born Again Technologies, which is providing technology to H&M to be able to reuse these materials as well. BMW's foundation has a regular application of its endowment funds towards impact investing targets. And it also does research itself on the impact investing space to understand it better, discover best practices, and share them. And UBS, which is an asset manager, has recognized that it needs to provide services and investing opportunities to its clients because they themselves are interested in becoming involved with impact investing. There's a number of other examples here, but basically we see a shift in the way that companies think about how they manage their own money or they manage their clients' money. So the case study we'd like to look at today is AXA, which is one of the top 3 insurers in the world. It's a French company and it has $815 billion euros of assets under management. Now, we spoke to AXA for the book about 2 years ago to Matt Christensen, who is the head of global responsible investing. And you'll see that already 60% of the AXA investment managers AUM is integrating ESG criteria, nearly 500 billion euros. But what's more interesting is that they've launched an impact investment initiative to really rethink the way that they handle their own capital, such as the third impact fund that they launched in 2019. It's focused on biodiversity protection, and it's backed by $150 million of AXA's own capital. And that impact fund is only going to be deployed into projects and other funds that it sees can actively move forward progress on achieving the SDG goals, because there's an intimate connection between impact investing and achievement of the SDGs by the year 2030. They focus on strategies on companies that address sustainability concerns, that are actively aligning their CSR activities with their core operations, and that advance achievement as the SDGs. And this is not just for themselves, it's something they want to use to move the whole industry this direction. So let's take a step back and discuss what is impact investing. So GIN, which is the largest global organization for impact investing, the Global Impact Investing Network, defines impact investing as investments made with the intention to generate positive, measurable social and environmental impact alongside a financial return. So you have both a financial return and a positive social impact, and it has to be measurable. And what they did, the definition of impact is actually provided by another group called the Impact Management Project, and they say impact is a change in a positive or negative outcome for people or the planet, so society or environment. Compared to ESG, ESG is what we think of as more about consideration. It's more looking at risks. It's more worried about exposure to problems and the ability to compare two different companies to one another. That's the way that investors use it today. Whereas impact investing is more about intention. You want to deploy your capital for a profit, but also to get an intended result. And before we go any further, we should address any doubts around the profitability of ESG or impact investing. There's a number of reports out there that show how ESG can outperform the market, but I thought this was a really interesting one. This is from Nisei Asset Management and Nippon Life Insurance, and it's just looking at Japanese stocks over a 10-year time frame, where they've divided them into 3 different levels of rankings in terms of their performance on ESG on the left and on social issues from ESG on the right. So the blue line is the highest ranking ESG companies or S companies. The pink line is the second level, and the pink one is the worst ranking, and the green line is the middle ranking ones. And what you see is that for ESG companies that have the highest ranking, or companies that have the highest ESG ranking, they outperform the average market over 10 years by about 60%. And then if you just focus on the right on companies that had a high social ranking, they added another 40% to that, where they outperformed the market by about 100%. So we can see that there's significant returns by looking at ESG and also by focusing on businesses with positive social stances. Now there's an opportunity here, and there's trillions of market value to be realized or captured. WBCSD, which I know operates in Taiwan as well, has said that there's USD $12 trillion of market value, which could be opened up by the achievement of the goals in the year 2030. So that's a market that you could capture and you could grow and create your own customers or your consumers today based on investments that you're making. And then the World Economic Forum has identified a $2.5 trillion gap that's required in investment to achieve the SDGs. And I think that this is where this money can be deployed, because all of the SDGs, they represent underserved communities that require a solution. And it could be a business solution, a product or a service, that's something that helps them to change their conditions. So sustainable finance has been surging. We cover this in the book in a whole chapter. It's up to 30.7 trillion AUM, according to the Global Sustainable Investment Alliance in the year 2019. But of that, impact investing, where you see the red arrow, is very, very small part of it today. For comparison, let's take a look at it versus private investment funds that were invested over the past 10 years. And you can see that there's 5 trillion funds that were raised for private equity, but less than, at the time of this report, less than $200 billion for impact investing. Now, since the report on the left was revealed, GIN did a survey and found that by December 19, we were actually up to $715 billion of impact investing assets under management. So you see that there is a rapid growth in this space, but it's still small compared to private equity. Now, one encouraging sign for impact investing is that there's more and more billion-dollar funds that are starting to appear. Probably the best known of them are KKR and the Rise Fund from TPG. But there's a bunch of smaller funds that are either leading the way or following. Avishkar is one in particular that operates in India that's very well known and seeing incredible returns. We've spoken in Japan with SIF and Shinsei that have Japan-focused funds. So there's a lot of smaller players coming in, and the more billion-dollar funds that we see in there, the larger this field can grow. So to come back to AXA, when we spoke to Matt Christensen 2 years ago, he predicted that there was going to be a rise in the number of funds that would be SDG oriented across the coming years. And that's what I think we've seen so far. And in fact, his title in that time has changed from Global Head of Responsible Investing to Global Head of Impact and Responsible Investing. And what he was doing 2 years ago was establishing these impact funds using AXA's own capital. And based on the experience they have, where they were investing around a couple themes around climate and biodiversity degradation, healthcare and health prevention and disease prevention, as well as social inequality and inclusion, they've gained the experience where they can now actually deploy their knowledge towards their clients and create new funds to manage their money as well. The system that they use right now is focusing on 5 different factors, but the 3 most important for them are products and services, R&D, and negative externalities. And the reason I think that this has become the new focus is because they're shifting from an ESG sort of vision of investing, which looked much more, I believe, at operations and CSR activities, to something that represents the actual intentions of what the business wants to do within the market. What products are they providing? What services are they providing? What R&D are they doing to create these new products? And what fields are they operating in that might actually have a negative impact, despite the fact they may have a good ESG rating? So this is a very different vision of how you invest your money in a company. You're looking at very different factors here. Now, is this sustainable? Is this a real thing? Our business is actually going to move this direction. Not only is AXA creating these kinds of businesses, they're gaining support from international organizations that have signatories across the world, and they support this kind of thinking. PRI is one of them, which has announced its new Investing with SDG Outcomes principles. And it's really pushing companies to not just use ESG as a screening process to de-risk their investments, but actually make progress on the goals. And then you see the United Nations Global Compact, which is the leading United Nations body that's dealing with business, actually providing a role-based guidance on how CFOs within businesses can move their investment strategies to be SDG aligned. So I think there's a lot of support here. It's not simply a couple businesses that are trying to do something different. So the final takeaways I would leave you with is that sustainable finance is accelerating the move to SDG aligned and impact investing, which in some sense are becoming the same thing. And investors, whether pure asset owners or corporations, will be looking beyond ESG to the investee's active impact on society and environment. So businesses aren't going to just need to make sure that they're not exposed to risks from climate or society or from issues with their employees, but they're actually doing activities within their business operations to advance the SDGs. And I believe that this actually will result in a shift to a greater sustainability stance within businesses as they look at their own internal investing practices, whether they're philanthropic, venture capital, R&D, equity investing, or core business functions, and start to apply this SDG aligned thinking via the impact investing approach. Thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure addressing you, and I look forward to any questions in the live Q&A session.
Thank you, Donald Eubank, for your presentation. Our next speaker is Ms. Malin Lundahl of the Swedish fashion giant H&M. Malin has been working for H&M since 2013, and she has a Master of Science in Biotechnology from Lund University. She's currently working as the Sustainability Manager for H&M Greater China. And in her presentation, she'll be talking about how the fashion industry is moving towards a more circular fashion. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a fellow Swede as the next speaker. Please welcome Ms. Malin Lundahl.
Hello everyone. Warm thank you for taking your time to listen to my talk about sustainability and H&M today. Thank you to the organizers of the Global Corporate Sustainability Forum for inviting us once again. My name is Malin Lundahl. I work as Sustainability Manager for H&M Greater China, working with the markets Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and China. Now I will try and share my screen. So at H&M, we worked with sustainability for a long time, and today I will talk about sustainable fashion and innovation from a brand perspective. Going into three different parts: H&M and sustainability and sustainable fashion industry, then moving on to circularity and innovation, and lastly, some examples about digitalization and sustainability for us at H&M. So H&M Group, quickly at a glance, we today exist at 74 markets and have e-commerce in 51 markets with over 5,000 stores and 180,000 employees worldwide. We had a net sales last year of 233 billion SEK. But it all started here in 1947 with Erling Persson opening the first H&M store in Västerås. And he had this vision of bringing fashion to the many people. And it has grown from this one single store into the big company as it is today. The change, the difference from when he founded the company is small, but it's still significant. We don't only want to make fashion affordable and available to the many people. We want to make sustainable fashion affordable and available to the many people. And the number one reason is this. By 2050, we're estimated to be 10 billion people on this planet. That's a great opportunity for us as a fashion brand to grow with that population growth and really also cater to the needs of our future customers. But we know that we will also only have one planet in 2050, and we cannot depend on virgin materials as we do today. There simply will not be enough land to grow cotton, for example. So therefore, we really need to focus on sustainability, not just for today, but for our future growth really depends on it. And the way that we believe that we will be able to accomplish this is by working with circularity. So as the population and the economy is growing, we want to decouple that growth with the resources, and the way to do this is through circular economy. So I will talk a little bit about that later. But this is our vision: lead the change towards a circular and renewable fashion while being a fair and equal company. So we work with these three different focus areas. The environmental part, 100% circular and climate positive. And here we really focus on a circular approach to how products are made and used. Big focus on the type of materials in our products, and also focus on our energy usage. One part is around the social sustainability side, so how we affect people throughout our value chain. We call that 100% fair and equal. So here we want to work with fair jobs for all through our value chain, and we're also stewards for diversity and inclusiveness. And the third part is about 100% leading the change. So here, and that's very related to this talk today, it's about promoting and scaling innovation where needed in our industry. For example, there still is a lot of technology advance that needs to happen when it comes to recycling of textiles. We also want to drive transparency to really empower our customers with information so they can make sustainable shopping decisions. And it's also about rewarding sustainable actions. And one example is the way we work with our suppliers, or that when you hand in unwanted garments to us through our garment collecting program, you get a voucher as a reward for that. So moving in then more specifically about circularity and innovation. So this is our value chain. We have the design stage, the material choice, the production processes, the product use, and the product reuse and recycling. So we want to, through the full value chain, take this traditional linear approach and bend it into a circular one, where we really maximize the resource use and minimize the waste through all steps, all by being fueled by renewable energy. Now I would like to share with you a video about some examples about our H&M material innovation choices that we have made.
Some details may seem small, but they're actually the ones that create change. Like when you think you're wearing white, but you're really wearing orange. Or coffee. Sometimes you want to feel like Cinderella. Most of the time, you want to feel like yourself. Some come in twos. Some to your rescue. Sometimes you're just looking for approval. Or some extra spruce in your life. Sometimes it's in your nature. Or from nature. Sometimes it's just that one time. Sometimes it's in the small things. And the whole things. Sometimes it's everything.
So at H&M, we don't only want to make fashion sustainable, we also want to make sustainability fashionable. And some examples of how we do this is, for example, through our H&M conscious assortment. So we have a goal to only use 100% sustainably sourced materials by 2030. And today we are at 57%, so we are well on our way. One way to really make this super easy for our customers to see is that we work with these green hang tags. So we offer H&M conscious through all of our different concepts throughout the year. And these materials are all certified by a third party. So this could be examples like organic cotton or recycled polyester, etc. We also have a capsule collection called H&M Conscious Exclusive, which comes out twice per year. Here we really want to have a higher fashion grade to show that we can have fashionable, sustainable choices. This is a great opportunity for us to try innovative materials and processes. Like this example here of Circulose, which is a textile to textile recycled type of material. Here is another example we used for Conscious Exclusive. It's called Orange Fiber. And basically it's waste from the juice industry that has then been made into this silk-like super nice material. Here is another example of how we work with materials. We teamed up with Danone Aqua to try and handle the problem of ocean waste in Indonesia. So we managed to take PET bottles from the shores and oceans and then make it into more sustainable kids wear instead and clean up that waste to become a resource for something new. Another recent example where we worked together with Victoria Sung to launch a China Unique collection where we also worked with a lot of sustainable materials. I would also like to mention H&M Foundation. This non-profit is funded by generous donations from the Person family, so the founding family of H&M. And they have partnered with Hong Kong Rita in Hong Kong to find new recycling technologies for textiles, which we really need in our industry. They also have a garment-to-garment setup where you can actually see mechanical recycling in a container setup. And they also run something called the Global Change Awards, where they're trying to find innovation that can really be game changers for the textile industry for tomorrow. For example, one winner from 2020 was Incredible Cotton, where they are actually working with lab-grown cotton that they grow inside a lab, so you don't even need any lab. I would also like to mention garment collecting. This is something that we have in all our stores all year round. Our customers can hand in any unwanted textile from any brand in shape or form to us. And as a thank you, we will give them a voucher. And this is really a way for us to bring our customers together with us for a more sustainable fashion future. The proceedings for this goes to charity donations. For in Taiwan, we work with the Red Cross, and then also some go into circular innovation. Moving on then to digitalization and sustainability, some examples of what we have done at H&M. So I mentioned before about transparency. So one way that we have, now it was in 2013, some years ago, we started to really disclose our suppliers online. So you can go in on hmgroup.com and look at which of suppliers are H&M actually working with. But not only that, we also last year took the step and started to really communicate suppliers also on product level. So if you go into hm.com, you can click on this product sustainability tab on each product. And then you will see partly which materials that's in there, but also which exact suppliers you can click on here and then get that information. And this is really a way for us to really drive more transparency in the industry as a whole, but also to our customers to make more informed shopping decisions. Another thing that we focus a lot on is how to really make sure that we design the right products and buy the right quantities. This is one of my colleagues, Sandra, that works in head office in Stockholm as a designer. That's one of her biggest challenges, is to figure out what should I actually design and how much should we buy. So therefore, we've paired up with AI and doing advanced analytics to even better be able to predict the demand. This is both smart from a business perspective, but it also saves precious resources for the planet. Here is another example on hm.com. We have added so our customers can choose to only shop conscious products, so they can click on only seeing the products with green hang tags. So that's a way to encourage more sustainable shopping decision. We've also added a new sustainability page that you can see up in our H&M.com mega menu. And in there, our customers can go in and see more inspiring information and transparent information about the sustainability work that we do. So that was what I had planned to share with you today. I hope you learned something new and I could bring you some inspirations. If there's any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Malin, for your presentation. And our final speaker for today is Mr. Vincent Shih of Microsoft. Vincent is the Assistant General Counsel of Microsoft and also the General Manager of the Microsoft Taiwan Corporate, External and Legal Affairs. He's had a career within Microsoft that reaches over 20 years, and he's held many different positions over those years. And as you might know, Microsoft has pledged not only to be carbon neutral, but actually carbon negative by the year of 2030. And this is, of course, an incredibly ambitious target. So in this presentation, we can look forward to learning more about Microsoft's commitment to sustainability and how they plan to fulfill those goals. So let's welcome Mr. Vincent Shih.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2020 GCSF Innovation Technology-Driven Sustainability Online Forum. My name is Vincent Shih. I'm Microsoft Assistant General Counsel and also the General Manager for Corporate, External and Legal Affairs of Microsoft Taiwan. It is my great honor and privilege to share with you today some of our most advanced and I would say very ambitious commitment, our Microsoft commitment to sustainability. We all know that sustainability is an important issue to all of you and for all the government around the world and also for the associations and for our industry ecosystems. And we are looking forward to work with all of you and all of the ecosystem to let you know that what Microsoft we are doing and where we can help with your efforts. I want to share with you today the bold new commitment that Microsoft is making to confront the climate crisis by aggressively reducing our carbon footprint. But as important as our own steps in this area, we believe that Microsoft's most important contribution to carbon reduction will come not just from our own work alone, but also by helping our customers and partners like each one of you with your carbon reduction commitment. So with that, let's go to the next page. We recognize from this chart, you can see a lot of different pillars and the principal approach that we believe is the best way to tackle the sustainability, this great challenge. We recognize that the progress requires not just a bold or aggressive goal, but a detailed plan. Whenever we take on a new and complex societal issues, we strive first to learn and then to define a principled approach to guide our efforts. This has been fundamental to our work around the protection of privacy and the ethical development of AI. And this is the approach we are also taking to pursue our aggressive carbon reduction goals as well. we have concluded these five elements that we believe is vital as we continue to innovate and take additional steps on an ongoing basis. The first one, of course, from the left, you can see we are taking responsibilities for our carbon footprint. We will take responsibility for all our emissions. So by 2030, we can cut them by half, actually more than half, and remove more carbon than we actually emit each year. The second pillar will be investing for new carbon reduction and removal technology. We will deploy $1 billion of our own capital in a new climate innovation fund to accelerate the development of carbon reduction and removal technologies that will help us and the world become carbon negative. The third one will be empowering customers around the world. This is especially important that perhaps the most importantly, we will develop and deploy digital technology to help our suppliers and customers reduce their carbon footprints, and not just by digital transformation, but also provide a transparent and also a science-based data to help them. The next one will be ensuring effective transparency. Like I said before, for all the data-driven technology, we invest a lot, and especially in this area, we will publish an annual environmental sustainability report that will provide transparency on our own progress and based on a very strong global reporting standards. And last, we are of course using our own voice on the carbon-related public policy issues. Like today, the forum is a good example. We will support new public policy initiatives to accelerate carbon reduction and removal opportunities. So next, let me take you through each of these in more detail. Here you can see this cycle or this virtual run and the very good initiatives that focus on all the key pillars we mentioned before. And reducing carbon is where the world needs to do and need to go right now. And we recognize that is what our customers are asking for us to pursue. And of course, we will need to continue to learn and adapt, both separately and even more importantly, in a close collaboration with partners and customers like you. But carbon is only one of the areas for our focus in our strategic areas. We are also committed to action on water, waste, and protecting our ecosystems. I want to emphasize and we want to empower through our cooperation and operation our products and services, and through our employee, and through our public policy advocacy, and of course, work with partners and customers like you. So in addition to the partner and also the whole ecosystem we want to promote and empower, and here is the carbon neutral and the beyond the ambition, the aggressive goal I have emphasized before. So once again, our goal is that by 2030, Microsoft will be the carbon negative, and by 2050, Microsoft will remove from the environment all the carbon the company has emitted, either directly or by the electrical consumption since Microsoft was founded in 1975. We plan to aggressively put our carbon emissions more than half by 2030, and both for our own direct emissions and for our entire supply and value chain. To reach this aggressive goal, we have set a commitment by 2025, we will shift to a 100% supply of renewable energy, meaning that we will have purchase agreements for green energy contracted for 100% the total amount of the carbon emitting electricity consumed by all our data centers, our office buildings, and our campus headquarters. We will pursue International Living Future Institute Zero Carbon Certification and the LED LEED Platinum Certification for our Silicon Valley, our headquarters campus, and for joining this modernization projects. And we will also shift our data centers we design to a diesel-free backup power supply. And in addition to our corporate headquarters in Seattle, we will also, for globally, also electrify our global campus operation vehicle fleet. All our company car, will be all the electricity, powered by electricity by 2030. We will reduce our Scope 3 emission by more than half by 2030 through a series of new measures. And the internal carbon fee for Scope 1 and 2 emission will be extended to Scope 3 emission for all business units. We will implement new procedures and new process to enable our suppliers to reduce their Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. We will also, of course, work with them to implement an accurate reporting and transparent reporting system. So, with all these different measures, by 2030, we have full confidence that we also committed will remove more carbon than we emit, and setting us on a path to remove all the historical carbon emissions released since Microsoft founded in 1975. Well, of course, it's not an easy task. We will achieve this through a portfolio of negative emission technology, or NET, potentially including afforestation and the reforestation, soil carbon sequestration, bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, also called BECCS, and the direct air capture, DAC. These are just some examples and some action plan we committed to do. And of course, in addition to carbon emission, we have another, just announced a few weeks ago, will be zero waste by 2030. This is another aggressive goal in addition to carbon. To me, the growing demand of our cloud services, our data center footprint, and the 3 million servers and related hardware that power it must expand. And today, we all know these servers have an average lifespan of 5 years and continue to the world's growing e-waste problem. To reduce this waste, we already announced and plan to repurpose and recycle all these devices to our new Microsoft Circular Center, which will be located first on our new Microsoft data center campus or regions, and eventually it will expand it and add it to all the existing data centers. Using innovative technology like machine learning, we will purpose servers and hardware that are being demissions on site, and we will sort the pieces that can be reused and repurposed by us, by our customer, or so. We will use our learning about reuse, disassemble, reassemble, and recycling with design and supply chain teams to help improve the sustainability of our future generation of equipment. Our Microsoft Circular Center, built on our earlier Circular Cloud initiative, will extend the life cycle of our servers and minimize the waste sent to landfills. And in addition to data center, the Circular Center, of course, we will also commit to eliminate, to remove, and stop using all the single-use plastic in all the packaging for our hardware in 2025. And of course, in addition to that, we also invest a 30 million Climate Innovate Fund to invest with the closed loop partner fund to find a more innovative way to reduce and reach the zero waste initiative. And of course, employee engagement and digitize our waste data. These are two important steps that, in addition to use the technology, but also empower all the employees around the world to also contribute to the zero waste technology. For example, in our office in Taiwan, in Taipei, there's no single-use paper cup or any waste. All the equipment, all the operation will be renewable and also maintain the zero waste initiative. So in addition to the global good plan and operation on the carbon emission and the zero waste, next, this page, I will also share with you some great news and great progress we see in Taiwan. In Taiwan, we also glad to see that Taiwan government also announced a very ambitious goal as early as 2016, Taiwan already announced that Taiwan will raise the percentage of renewable energies from less than 5% in 2016 to 20% by 2025. This is another initiative and a very aggressive goal, and we are glad to be the one of the technology company, the first technology company that support this goal. A good example is the National Renewable Energy Certification Center, also called TREC centers, that has been set up to promote the green energy and to establish the operational and the verification process to ready all the TREC systems. This TREC report represents 100% of our annual electricity consumption in Taiwan, and will also avoid 2,000 metric tons of carbon. That approximately the equivalent of taking 430 cars off the road in a year. So in Taiwan, we are the first company to support this TREC system and other contribution and the tangible action item, including I just mentioned that we are currently participating and support this TREC program, and also we already purchased 3,000 megawatts of small-scale hybrid renewable energy credits that to neutralize and offset all the carbon emissions that our Taiwan office use to the electricity consumptions. So starting from 2017, our office building and our consumption in Taiwan already reached a carbon neutral goals. And other than that, we will also use our technology and modernize workplace, including all the data in our cloud, and also remove and retire all the landline phones. We all use our technology, our teams, to do the collaboration and also achieve the renewable energies goal. Right now, our consumption, I'm very glad to share that our energy consumption in Taiwan has been reduced more than half, 51% of the energy reduction by the overall power consumption in our operation in Taiwan. And last, this is a little bit busy deck, but I just want to include all the key action or the good result that we achieved with our Taiwan customer and partners. The first one on the far left side, you can see that we already partner with our high-tech supply chain and to help them not just digital transformation, but also provide our technology and the renewable solutions to help them not just for their own office and the factory consumption, but also for all the ecosystem, also included in some of their good projects. This customer, good partner, including Data, TSMC, Wistron, and Lion. You can see some of the good program that's already been implemented and still ongoing right now. And also for the startups and the small and medium companies, we are also glad to share. We already partner with one of our good partners, Clean Waste, who is a waste management company, who already adopt and we support them to move all the data in our cloud and also use machine learning and IoT technology, most innovative solution to help them through the end-to-end process to collect all the waste and also ensure there will be no pollution during the whole process, and all the data is traceable and transparent. This is the evolution way for a waste management company like Clean Waste to achieve not just for sustainability, but also to maximize their own operation. And of course, smart and sustainable cities. Smart city and the intelligent city, intelligent building is also another key area that we partner with, not just the central government, but also some of the local government, local cities to implement the solution to help maintain and achieve the sustainability goal. And of course, education is another key pillar that you can see from the right-hand side. The skilling and the CSR, skilling and the corporate social responsibility is one of the areas we believe also important, not just for the industrial side, but also for all the talent incubation process. So with that, we already commit globally, we will have 25 million people worldwide. We will reach them through our digital skill technology with the free online training including our own Microsoft Learning, including LinkedIn, including GitHub, will provide free online course and also the certification to help all the talent when they needed the digital skill. We will provide the resource for them. And right now, also glad to share, in Taiwan, we already reached more than 20,000 people in Taiwan through our digital skill, technology, and platform. And we also already help more than 200 beneficiaries from underserved communities and empower them and help them to get employed and find a good job through their technical training. This is just our goal for this year. And lastly, your far right side, of course, in addition to the TREC, we also support the government action, including the most recent one, also I believe it's the last month in August. Taiwan Legislative Yuan also hold a UN Sustainable Development Goals Advisory Council, established and organized, led by the Deputy Spokesperson of Legislative Yuan. And Microsoft, we are glad we are one of the partners that have been invited to share our view and to help these policy advocacy efforts. Of course, the forum for our GCSF today is another good example. We are glad to share our commitment above and also glad to work with all of you in the future to move forward with this key dialogue, to keep this dialogue continue and emphasize all the key efforts that each one of us is focused on. So, in the end, I just want to emphasize and highlight again, we know sustainability is a very important issue, not just for all of us, not just for our society, but also for all our next generation. So with the above very aggressive goal and the commitment set by Microsoft and all the technology and the innovations that we provided, including we have also provided the calculator in our cloud that could help our customer partner to understand how much carbon they have consumed during the whole process. That's just one of the examples, and we have a lot of technology that could be shared and work with you. So with that, I want to conclude with thank you for all your time, and thank you for caring and spend your time to think about this key initiative. And let's work together to create a better world, not just for ourselves, for the world, but also for our next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vincent, for your presentation. And that was actually the last presentation that we had for you today. We hope that you have enjoyed listening to these presentations and that you've learned a thing or two about sustainability innovation. And just to recap the speakers that we've listened to, we first heard from Jacqueline Lai and the Cannes Lions. She talked about her organization and what they do. We then heard from Donald Eubank talk about corporate impact investing and an interesting case study of the AXA Group. We then heard from Malin Lundahl talk about how H&M is working with making fashion more sustainable. And last but not least, we heard from Vincent Shih of Microsoft talk about Microsoft's commitment to sustainability. A very impressive program indeed. And with that, I would like to thank all the speakers for taking your time and doing your presentations for us. I would like to thank everyone listening for taking part in this webinar. And please remember to join the live Q&A session later on, where you can ask questions directly to the speakers. My name is Martin Söderberg, and once again, thank you so much for listening, and see you again soon.